This is day 2. I'm all about glute amnesia, why we have it, what to do about it, why should we care. So this is part 2, basically covering why you should care about training your glutes. There's one big reason is that your glutes are in charge of hip extension, and we extend our hips a lot. Just standing up, you have hip extension. So if your glutes are not activated, you can have a lot of problems there. So why it's important. Once, probably, I don't even know how long ago it was, but I was over at a friend's house and she was showing me these exercises that she was doing, partly because she had inactive glutes, and those inactive glutes were affecting her core strength as well. Yes, because everything is connected. So if you have poor glute strength, it's going to affect other areas of your body. And she was showing me these exercises. She's like lying down on the floor. She's barely moving. And I'm thinking, doesn't look like much of an exercise at all. But because of the lack of glute strength, she was having the core trouble. So it was also affecting her back. So glutes were affecting her core strength, and she was feeling pain in her back because her glutes were not working. So it's kind of a snowball effect. So if your glutes aren't working, it's going to affect other areas of your body, like even your shoulders, which seems a little odd. It's like it's so far from your glutes. How does that even happen? And it's because you have something called a posterior sling. So imagine the muscles on your back are kind of like an X. So your glutes on the right end up affecting your shoulder on the left, and vice versa. So it's all connected, and it's so important that you keep those glutes activating so that you don't negatively affect these other areas of your body. So very important. If you remember from yesterday, if you saw yesterday, I went to physio, and that's when I found out that I had lazy glutes. And I was shocked. I was indignant. I didn't think it was a thing, even though my friend had told me all about glute amnesia. She didn't necessarily call it that, but I didn't really truly believe it was a thing, because surely my glutes were awake, right? I couldn't possibly have this problem and have to do those exercises that look like you're barely moving when I can do deadlifts, and I can do squats, and I can do curls, and I can do all the things. Surely I don't have it, except I did. And I know I say this phrase a lot, but I'm here to tell you that even if you're an advanced athlete, you can have inactive glutes. Your glutes can have amnesia and not remember what they really should be doing. So it doesn't matter. I cannot stress this enough. It doesn't matter if you can lunge, and if you can curl, and if you can deadlift, and if you can squat until the cows come home. If your glutes are not activated, at some point, it's going to negatively affect other areas of your body. There's just no way of getting around that. So besides from just physique, like, let's just put physique aside. First of all, I really want to stress that glute training is not about hating on your body. It's not about, yesterday there was a lot of talk about physique, but today is really the true focus of glute training is not just about getting that better booty for the sake of looking good in your jeans. Okay? You're all beautiful. Regardless of where you're at, I truly believe that a fit person doesn't have a size. So whatever your size is, that should not be your focus. The focus with glute training is on the strength and how it's going to affect all the rest of your body, because it would be folly, absolute folly, to ignore one of the largest group of muscles in your body, the powerhouse that keeps us moving, that keeps us balanced. It's folly to ignore it. So even if you've been getting by all this time, I'm telling you, if you don't start focusing on your glutes, you can experience a myriad of other problems. And it's just not something to ignore. So the real reason to work on your glutes is to protect yourself and to have a longevity to your ability to move and your ability to balance and your posture. Like, it's all affected by your glutes. So to ignore them, like I said, absolute folly. So what else can happen? So I said poor posture, right? A lot of us probably have poor posture just because we do a lot of sitting, and especially if you work on computers, you're leaning forward all the time. So you're always like in this kind of crunched, position, and you're not getting that extension in your hips for most of the day. You are flexed. And so your glutes are just done. They just sit there. So you can have poor posture. What does that end up affecting? Your balance. Okay, older people, if they were to train their glutes, the falls that they experience, especially like the bone, your bone density is affected. If you don't train your glutes, then you can't have that extension. You can lose balance more easily. If you fall and you lost your balance and you fall and you're an older person, you can break bones more easily. There's so many things that can happen if you just continue to ignore the powerhouse of your body that keeps you moving. So can't stress it enough. You might experience pain in your knees. I don't know how many of you have had this happen, but knee pain. Just checking to see who else might be watching. Oh, good morning, Sandra, Bree. Thanks for joining me. We're not that far in, but I'm basically going through all of the things that can go wrong if you don't start working on your glutes. Jody, good morning, Jody. Sorry to break away from the information, but I just want to make sure that I say hi to people who are joining. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I'm right in the process of telling you all the things that can go wrong in your body, basically, if you're not dealing with your glutes. You have poor posture, there's poor balance, which obviously if you fall over because of a balance problem, you risk the chance of, breaking your bones, especially as you age. It's a real problem. You might be experiencing pain in your knees. You might have low back pain. And let me just tell you, low back pain, that's where I was at. That was the whole reason I went to physio, is because of low back pain. And I had no idea that it had any connection to my glutes. And like I said, I was so surprised and horrified by the fact that I could have been doing all this work all this time and still my glutes were not activating. It was such a shock to me, but it was causing back pain. And if you have back pain, you understand that that's not a great way to be moving about in your day. Like, I could only shop for a little while before my back was hurting. And that's ridiculous. That's not the way to function in life. That's not meant to be, okay? So training glutes can really help with low back pain if you're experiencing low back pain. And I'm not trying to diagnose anybody here at all, but I'm just laying out some of the things that you could be experiencing and maybe have no idea that it's your glutes that are the cause of the problem. So like I said, low back pain, you can have knee pain, hip pain, pain in your groin, shoulder pain, which I was very shocked about. I'm like, what? How does that happen? You could have plantar fasciitis. You might have heard of that. You can have totally forgetting the name of it, but basically you have piriformis. Like, if your piriformis is sending pain all the way down your leg, a lot of people experience that, and it's tied to glutes as well. There's just so many things. And you could have blisters on your feet. You could have an unusual gait to your walk. There are so many things, you guys, that could be handled and prevented from becoming worse if you just train your glutes. Not being able to shop, that's a reason for some right there to activate your glutes. Thank you, Kelly. Yes, it's so true though. But honestly, if you like to shop and you have pain in your back because your glutes aren't activating, you really can't walk around long before that starts to really bother you. And that's a problem if you like to shop. So it really comes down to function. So yes, physique. I know most of us are probably into training glutes because we want that round booty. We want to be like wow and pow in our jeans. But that's not the real reason to focus on glute training. It's for longevity. It's for balance. I mean, you want to be able to get up off the floor. Like if you're an older person and you're playing with your grandkids on the floor and you go to get up, it can be a production. You might even need assistance. If you train your glutes, that should not be a problem, getting up off of the floor. So just functionally in your life, so important that you work on the powerhouse of your entire body. This is how we move, guys. Your butt moves you through your life. Someone's mentioning here that walked with a limp most of your life and understand how everything is connected. And I can't see more of this. I don't know if all of you, there we go. Sorry about that. The last 8 years, I've been trying to have better posture and walk straight, and it's hard. Yes. And very likely, it's a glute activation problem. Balance is so vital. Yes. I'm loving these comments, you guys. Thank you. Keep them coming. It's so true. Because, I mean, I kind of got into glute training, like I said, because of the problems that I was experiencing. Working on a computer all day is killing me. Yes. We're seated so much. But what I was going to say is that I got into glute training very specifically because of my low back pain. I'm like, I am on this. I cannot go through my life like this. I mean, I wasn't even, what am I now? How old am I? I'm 49, okay? I was like 48 and I'm experiencing all this back pain. I'm like, this is just way too young to be experiencing some of this stuff. Sorry, I was just seeing if there's any other comments there. So yeah, so important as we age, especially because the glute training at some point, you know, when you're lifting heavy, that's also affecting your bone density, which I've already expressed is very important because when you get older and you risk falling and breaking your bones just because they're brittle. So training glutes is a big part of that. Adding in that element to your training is so very important because like I said, this is how we move about. So if your glutes are not strong, you're not going to be moving about in your day very well. So like I said, balance gets thrown off, bone density lessens. I mean, there's so much, all those other pains that you might be feeling. Check out glute training because it's probably going to solve a lot of those problems for you. So big danger in ignoring your glutes. And yeah, you guys, I can't express how important it is. And what I noticed, I was kind of, sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second. But the reason I got into glute training was for my own low back. But as I've been training other people, they didn't come to me for glute training. They kind of came for an overall, you know, just want to get fit again kind of thing. And as I've been training them, we have come to discover that glutes are a main problem for many of them. And so I've had to readjust their training to deal with inactive glutes, glutes that have amnesia. So you may think that you're going through your day and everything's fine and my glutes are functioning, but yet as you age, it becomes more and more apparent that they haven't been functioning and for quite some time. And it leads to so many other problems. So today's big lesson is that you can't ignore your glutes. Cannot stress it enough. It's a huge problem and can affect so much else of what you do in your life. So if you do nothing else in your training, focusing in on glutes is going to be so important to everything else you do in your fitness. Because like I said, they are what get us moving.